Corruption is a sensitive issue that occupies the thoughts of both citizens and politicians, as it poses a significant threat to national interests and social cohesion. In some countries, it is considered a taboo subject, avoided out of fear that discussing it might undermine the morale of the state and its institutions. Subordinate citizens often dream of living in an environment characterized by transparency in financial dealings with government institutions and free from manipulation. Politicians, on the other hand, can generally be categorized into two types. First, the corrupt politician, who benefits from a corrupt environment and seeks to maintain it to remain wealthy and avoid imprisonment. Second, the politician who prioritizes the national interest over personal gain, striving to combat corruption in hopes of earning the trust and satisfaction of his citizens, especially in nations with fair electoral processes, thereby trying to ensure his continuation in power or trying to enhance his reputation among the people he serves. In this context, we will explore the causes and methods of corruption and consider whether it can be completely eliminated or merely reduced. Let's talk about corruption. Before we explore the various definitions of corruption, let's first define it ourselves. Corruption refers to the misuse of political influence in a particular country for personal gain. This gain often takes the form of financial benefits or tangible and intangible privileges, such as immunity from legal prosecution. Additionally, it may allow the corrupt individual's families to access high-quality government services without having a legitimate right to do so. Corruption is widely regarded as a heinous, immoral, and unethical act among citizens of the same country because it undermines both public and national interests in favor of private interests of certain members of the state or regime of that country. This behavior weakens social cohesion among the same citizens and increases the likelihood of future conflicts among them. The World Bank defines corruption as the abuse of public office for private gain, covers a wide range of behavior, from bribery to theft of public funds. Corruption exists all over the world, but is usually present in countries with weak institutions, often affected by fragility and conflict. Professor Ian Sr. defines corruption as an action to secretly provide a good or a service to a third party, to influence certain actions which benefit the corrupt, a third party, or both, in which the corrupt agent has authority. In this method, the corrupt politician directs government contracts to the companies that are loyal or connected to him. For instance, when the Ministry of Public Works in a certain country wants to construct and pave roads with asphalt in a specific area, the Minister of Public Works instructs his ministry to award contracts to companies that are affiliated with him, possibly owned by him or by family members and friends. This arrangement is made without allowing other companies that have no ties to the minister to participate, thereby bypassing a public tender process. Consequently, the corrupt minister profits hugely and significantly by exploiting his influence in this matter. Looting and embezzlement of public funds can occur through various methods. Direct methods may include unauthorized transfers of funds from embassies' classified and secret accounts to the personal accounts of corrupt officials, executed without any legal authorization from higher authorities. Other examples, such as acquiring substantial loans from state-owned banks without the intention of repayment, also falls under this category. Indirect methods, on the other hand, may involve practices such as over-invoicing, a topic which we will explore in greater detail shortly. Bribery involves providing personal benefits to a government official in exchange for using his influence to provide personal advantages to the briber. It is a common form of corruption in the political sphere. In some countries, such as the United States, certain legal mechanisms exist that resemble bribery, notably through lobbying. Lobbies are pressure groups that pursue specific agendas, seeking to influence government policies in exchange for supporting politicians in their election campaigns through financial contributions, media coverage, and other means. Under American law, these activities are not classified as bribery, and those involved typically do not face legal consequences. Prominent lobbying groups in the United States include those associated with Israel, such as the American Israel Public Affairs Committee (AIPAC) and Christians United for Israel. These organizations work day and night to ensure continued and unconditional American support for the Zionist state. A corrupt politician often threatens a particular person or entity with inflicting either tangible or intangible harm unless he receives financial compensation or benefits. For example, many corrupt politicians intimidate businessmen that are known for using bribery to advance their business interests by threatening them with imprisonment on corruption charges if the businessmen don't cover the medical treatment or travel expenses for the politicians' families. Over-invoicing, according to the Simmons Simmons report, is a form of value transfer which involves deliberate over-invoicing goods above their market value, as the exporter is thereby able to receive value from the importer, as the importer payment is higher than the goods' actual value on the open market. It can be used as a method to move money out or offshore if importer pays overvalued invoices, thereby avoiding domestic capital and exchange controls. For example, let's consider Company H, located in Country A, wants to import agricultural machinery from Company D, located in Country B, valued at $200, and the owner of Company H wants to secretly transfer $100 from Country A to B. To accomplish this, he inflates the invoice value for the machinery to $300. When the transaction occurs, Company D receives the $200 for the sale of the machinery and then transfers the additional $100 to the owner of Company H's account that is located in Country B. This method is often used by many corrupt politicians around the world to siphon and embezzle public funds into their personal bank accounts located in other countries. We are not questioning why some politicians turn to corruption, as the answer is quite simple and straightforward. These seek quick wealth and short-term gains, in other words, the fast buck. Instead, we want to understand what causes corruption to spread uncontrollably in certain countries around the world. One form of bureaucracy involves complex administrative procedures imposed by a government on its citizens regarding the services provided by the state, such as healthcare, consular assistance, and the issuance of civil status documents. Bureaucracy is more prevalent in countries governed by authoritarian regimes that focus on closely monitoring public life in order to exert greater control. These procedures often make life difficult for citizens, causing significant frustration. As a result, some citizens may resort to offering bribes or personal favors to government employees in order to bypass the obstacles caused by these procedures. This dynamic can lead to government employees, officials, and politicians exploiting these bureaucratic systems for personal gain. Many of us know that when cats are not present in an area, mice and rats feel free to roam and cause mischief. Similarly, in the context of nations and states, When mechanisms for monitoring corruption and institutions dedicated to oversight are weakened or absent, the prevalence of corruption tends to rise. As highlighted by the esteemed sociologist Ibn Khaldun in his renowned work Al-Muqaddimah, the decline of tribalism and asabiyya, representing social cohesion and a collective sense of unity among a nation's populace, can lead politicians to increasingly prioritize personal interests over national ones. Ibn Khaldun asserts that social cohesion is most notably weakened by prosperity and the absence of challenges. In contrast, nations and states experiencing significant adversities, such as wars or epidemics, often display heightened social unity, as cooperation becomes essential for overcoming such difficulties. During these trying and tough times, the national interest tends to prevail over personal interests of the individuals. Conversely, in less challenging circumstances where severe struggles and hardships are absent, social cohesion diminishes, as individuals may find less common ground and no cause to unite on, resulting in personal interests taking precedence over the national interests of the state. In 2019, the Algerian people staged a massive uprising across the country, demanding the removal of President Abdelaziz Bouteflika after he attempted to run for a fifth term. Following his ousting, a series of trials initiated against members of his regime on serious corruption charges, including bribery, embezzlement, and abuse of power. Most notable individuals tried during this period included former presidential advisor Saïd Bouteflika, who is Abdelaziz's younger brother, former Prime Ministers Abdelmalik Sillal, Ahmed Ouyahia, and Noordin Bidwi, as well as former Chief of the Algerian Police Abdelghani Al-Hamel. Between November 2017 and January 2019, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered the arrest of 300 members of the Saudi regime on corruption charges. Those detained included royal princes, ministers, and prominent businessmen within the kingdom. The detainees were held at the luxurious Ritz-Carlton Hotel in the Saudi capital, Riyadh, and more than 2,000 local bank accounts belonging to them were frozen. In 2023, Senator Bob Menendez, a Democratic member of the United States Senate, was indicted on corruption charges by the FBI, which involved accepting bribes and conspiring with foreign officials from Egyptian intelligence. In July 2024, he was found guilty, and on January 29, 2025, he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. We must recognize that no country in the world can completely eliminate corruption in its institutions, because greed cannot be erased from people's hearts, and human beings are naturally greedy and selfish. Also, there are some people who can never be deterred by any law, and no legal procedure can stop them from dealing in bribery or embezzlement. Nonetheless, there are meaningful steps that countries can take to significantly reduce the prevalence of corruption. First, reducing excessive bureaucracy can lead to improvements in efficiency and transparency. Second, investing in robust institutions that are dedicated to monitoring and overseeing corrupt practices is essential. Furthermore, fostering an environment where the national interest is prioritized above personal gain is undoubtedly challenging, but achieving this objective could yield substantial benefits for both the nation and its institutions.